Welcome to the Girls Abroad podcast with Jordy and Santi.
We've been living abroad for the last 2 years. We share our highs and lows, our tips and tricks, and life in our 20s. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Girls Abroad podcast. This is our Singapore special. So this episode is going to be all about Singapore, obviously. Some of the pros, some of the cons, things that we expected, things that maybe we didn't expect.
And yeah, just expat life in Singapore. So if you were thinking of moving to Singapore and you're not necessarily a teacher, some of the things you might want to look out for.
So the first thing is what brought us or drew us to Singapore.
So the big thing was moving out of a small town. So we're both from a very small town called Whangarei, and I just want to get out of there. I hadn't actually ever thought explicitly beforehand, like I want to go to Singapore, but obviously was open to it. The job was just here. Yeah.
And I was almost the opposite, thinking back in Dubai, hearing lots of people, and I've mentioned this before already, that Singapore was like the spot to go if you're a teacher. So like I had my mind set on Singapore at some point in my life. And the moment Santi was thinking about Singapore and applying for jobs was when I was like, okay, this is my time. This is the place I want to try.
Yeah, I had no idea that Singapore was like this mecca of teaching area. Yeah. I had no idea. I get it now, but yeah, I didn't know beforehand.
Because I had traveled here already. I was like, oh, I'm familiar with the place. And I like that. I like when I know what the area is going to be like. So
yeah, it really helps if you've been to the place before. Because even one holiday can give you a sense of like whether you would live there. And now I actually travel like that. Like when I go, I always try and like live like a local. Yeah. And get a feel of it in an authentic way. I'm
definitely out here every single holiday going, man, I wish I could move here. Yeah. I could live here. This could be my local supermarket.
Did you think that about Singapore? Oh, I guess you were so much younger.
I was very young, yeah. And it was fun. Like you say, when you're on holiday, it's fun. And as a kid, all you think of is like, woo, cool, fun memories.
Universal Studios.
Yeah, Whereas when you're traveling as an adult, it's more like, would this make sense as a move?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Singapore, when we got here, what did you expect?
We touched on this on a previous episode that I kind of had this idea of a big city, which is quite funny now because coming out of Whangarei, everywhere is a big city. Even though I had lived in big cities in the past, I really just wanted to, like I said, get out of a small town, go to a big city. And so that's what I was expecting with Singapore. And that glamorous side of, you know, the skyrise buildings and the fine dining and Marina Bay Sands. That's what I expected.
And I think in Whangarei, it's circumferentially. It's like
the land area
is the same as Whangarei, but it's the high-rise buildings that makes it feel big. We're so used to like flat houses.
Yeah, everyone lives in a house. I mean, apart from Auckland, everybody is living in a house.
Yeah. Apartment buildings and high-rise offices aren't normal for us. So it does still feel big here, although traveling distance-wise, not so much now. But Marina Bay Sands, was it?
It's pretty impressive.
It is, right?
Yeah. Like the hype around all of that is real. Like they have really put a lot of time and organization into the city structure. They've really thought it out.
Yeah. And those kind of touristy areas, they are so clean. They are exactly what you hear about for Singapore, right? Yeah. The streets are beautiful. The lights are like shining at night. And it is really nice. It's a really great ambience to kind of be in. And it's actually really cool that we live here, really.
It's not a catfish. Like it's true. The quality of the buildings they're maintained really well, at least in the center.
And that brings us to your overall thoughts on Singapore. Now that you've been here for, 20 months?
Yeah.
To be exact. Now what are you thinking?
So what I've come to realize is there are two sides of Singapore. And the first side, which tourists see and what you see as a fresh expat, is the glamorous side. And there's another side, which is a bit more humble and authentic. all places are safe and clean, but there is a side where it's like, it feels more like homey and cozy. And there are particular neighborhoods you can go to where you get away from that glamorous side. So there are two sides of Singapore, and I spent probably the first year in the first glamorous side, and now in my last year have spent a lot of my time in the more humble neighborhoods because it's nicer. It's so much nicer and comfortable to spend my time in those areas.
Yeah. Talking about that energy in the past couple of episodes, it is really exciting to be here, and you put a lot of energy into going out and having some drinks with friends. But then, like as you say, you kind of get into life here, you get into your routine, you want to slow down. So the neighborhoods are more comfortable. They slow you down. And I think you've also mentioned previously that they ground you.
Yeah.
So like your parks and like your walkways, and there's some reservoirs around the place that are nice and humble.
Another thing that we didn't talk about in our other episodes was that when you're moving overseas, you should always give yourself a year to decide on how you feel about a place. The first year is very turbulent, I think, for a lot of people, especially when you're younger, when your 20s are turbulent anyways. Don't go making your mind up until a year has passed, because by the time a year has passed, you've figured out the neighborhoods you like. You know the places you want to go to.
And we were both guilty of that. I know.
Guilty as charged.
It was like a month in and I was like, this place ain't for me. And I had decided. And it kind of made the turbulence more turbulent.
Exactly. Yeah. You kind of get into this negative mindset. Whereas for me, to be honest, like guilty, but I also only knowing that I'm leaving started appreciating Singapore. I'm walking around like, this is so nice. These people are so nice. And
I want to touch back on the safety. I think that's a really, really big thing here in Singapore. 20-something-year-old female can go out to town, have a drink, and still hop on a train back home all by myself. It's 11 p.m. at night, and like I feel safe. And you also see little kids, maybe 8, possibly younger, years old, on the train riding it by themselves after school. And there is just this high amount of trust. And yes, of course, there is crime. Of course, there's going to be. But there's just no way near as much. And so that's a really nice thing here. And you take it for granted. You go overseas and you're like on edge all the time. Like, where's my bag? Is it in front of me? And you forget. It's like you're in like this little safe la la land to remind yourself of how lucky you are in Singapore. Which leads us into the pros of living here in Singapore. So the great thing about Singapore is it is a travel hub. So as much as I might bag this place sometimes, I'm like, okay, well, I can travel somewhere very easily and it doesn't cost too much.
If you want to go on a weekend getaway, which is a huge part of the culture in the expat community, people are going away for weekend trips often. So, you know, when you make friends as well, they might be going away to this place and they'll say, do you want to come along with me? And it's fun. It's great.
Such a big expat community here. Being in an international school, 80% of people are expats. So you're meeting people and they're in the same kind of direction in life. They want to travel. They want to be here saving, but also having lots of adventures and experiences inside Singapore and outside. So you're with a lot of expats, but like-minded people.
It's convenient. So in terms of the transportation system, they've really got it sussed out here. The trains, the buses, it's all interlinked really well. So it's easy to get from A to B under $2, I want to say.
It'll take you a while, but you'll get there. So if you want to spend lots, you can easily spend lots here. But if you want to save, there are lots of ways to save as well.
You can make it work.
But that's also kind of bringing us into the cons of living in Singapore.
It's expensive. I know we just said you can make it work, but sometimes you don't want to make it work.
Sometimes you want a fancy dinner with 19% tax on top.
The service charge, the GST is just off the charts. Like, it's a low tax rate on your income, but keep in mind those extra taxes. It is expensive to live here. Your rent is expensive. Transport, if you're going to be grabbing everywhere, their equivalent of Uber here, it is expensive to do that. If you don't want to be tight with yourself, it's hella expensive. Another thing that some people may find is it is a little bit harder to break into the local community here. But once again, that is on you. to make that effort, the locals are really lovely. So if you can kind of make that effort to get to know them and be proactive.
And in all honesty, that comes from the slower living here. You know, if you're in the touristy spots,
they don't mix here. Like, for example, when in New Zealand, if you're out walking your dog or going to the dairy, anything, like you could strike up a conversation with the person behind you in line. It's not going to be, day for it. What else have we got?
Nice, stubby.
Yeah. You could literally say anything and they will probably go along with it. Yeah. Because that's just in the culture, which I really miss about New Zealand.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? It's you're moving at this pace where everyone's just like shoom, 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 straight past you, head down on their phone or just like speed walking. No one mixes. Whether it's the locals or expats, everyone's just on their own path, living their own life in their own world. Yeah. And like you say, it's hard to even strike up a conversation with others. But I'll be honest, I've now become one of those people. You know, my head's down on the train and I'm reading my book or on my phone and I'm not taking notice of anyone around me.
Which leads into the next thing, where for me, the thing that I struggled with the most, especially moving from New Zealand, was I felt like it was a bit matrixy. Everything is manicured. It does feel like you're in the Matrix. Things are more fast-paced than they are in New Zealand. So it's a big adjustment that you have to make because you're kind of just like, you feel like you're in a simulation. I'm like, is anyone seeing this? Now that we've discussed the pros and cons, if we knew what we knew then, wait.
Hang on a minute.
So now that we've gone through the pros and cons of living in Singapore, now we're going to get into, if we knew then what we know now, what would we do differently?
I think being by an MRT or a bus stop is super handy.
As somebody who lives in the center, but I am not conveniently located near anything, there's an uphill, a downhill, up, down. On my way back from work, it's uphill. Anyways, figure out where you're working, download the app City Mapper or Google Maps, and if you're looking at an apartment, work out your route to work. Is it convenient? How much walking is there? Is it flat? Is it uphill? So if you are finishing work at 5, 6, 7, you're tired, you want to just get home, live in a place that is near an MRT stop, somewhere where you don't have to walk or you can easily get home.
And that's another thing as well, is using the resources around you. So Handamart, Redmart, Shopee even.
Shopee, love Shopee.
Just those little shops that, one, can help you save money, but they're also super convenient with very fast shipping, all sorts of like deals happening with cashback on your cards. So those types of things to kind of get into straight away is helpful.
Another thing that I would say is consider co-living. So I had no idea about this before I moved. I lived alone in New Zealand, so coming here I just thought I'll just live alone. It is great living alone, but if you do want to save on costs on your rent, you can save a lot of money just by having one flatmate or another. There are like apartments already set up to be co-living condos, so you can join those. If you're in your 20s, early 30s, it's a really great option.
And it is quick fire 5 time.
Woo!
So this time we have each written a list of our top 5 places in Singapore. Hopefully, if we know each other right, we will be able to guess each other's.
So, next.
Wait, do I say yes or no straight away?
Yeah, or should I say the whole list?
Okay, no, do one by one.
Okay.
Next is on there.
Oh, yeah. Next mall. It's a great mall.
It's a very big mall, and it's one stop away. Very handy for me. Love that. So funny that you remember.
Tick. That was the first on my list. Okay. I put...
Oh, no.
The Value Store.
Oh, my gosh. It should be on here.
It should be, shouldn't it?
I love the Value Store. That's another store. If you're going to be here, you need to get in on.
The third place I put was the airport. So you can leave Singapore.
So I can leave. I feel like I should have been a bit more creative with my answers, but it is not on there.
Okay, wrong. The next one is the Science Museum.
You really do know me better than I know myself.
Yeah.
Shout out Science Center.
Yeah. Okay.
Last one.
Don Donkey.
You should have written my list. Don Donkey.
Don Donkey.
I actually did have Gardens by the Bay. I do
it's a
like
good spot.
the gardens.
Yeah.
And I like them at night when they have their light show and their music show. So I'm standing by that one being in my top 5. I also had Marina Barrage, which is just behind.
Good one.
Beautiful little spot. Great for picnics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mine aren't funny, but that's okay.
I didn't mean for mine to be funny. I think it's just funny that you love those places.
Okay, I have C'est la vie.
No.
Moving
you
on.
don't know me. Okay. Okay.
I just thought we have good memories there.
Oh, yeah. We
You
do.
know,
We do. Yeah.
It's a good
That was a
spot.
fun time.
Robertson Key.
Yes, it is on my list. I love Rob Key because it's like a nice chill spot. The river ain't clear or anything. It's brown, but you don't really look at the river. It's just the vibes.
Yeah. Then I had East Coast Park.
Yes.
I'm also your friend still.
I'm
Great.
dressed in my East Coast attire. East Coast is my favorite part of Singapore. It's my number 1.
And I had the Stevens area because of the cafes. Have you got that cafe?
Oh, I put Stevens.
yes.
Wow.
We are in
I'm
sync.
impressed.
Okay. And last one, I doubt you have this one on there, but I want to just see your reaction. Chinatown.
Yes.
What?
No. No, it's not on my list. But yes, I love Chinatown.
Right.
I spent more time in Chinatown last year, but there's like a vibe in Chinatown that I love.
Mm-hmm.
On my list was East Coast.
Yep.
Tiong Bahru.
Oh, yes.
Rob Key Stevens.
Mhm.
I put the nasi lemak
In Novena Square.
Novena Square Mall.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Go to the basement, get some beef rendang, some nasi lemak, or the lontong there is really delicious.
Of course you said that.
So that's my recent find.
I think you win, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was our quick fire 5
Mm-hmm.
and the end of our Singapore special episode.
Thank you for joining us. And peace out.
Peace.